All right, so this is one of my favorites. So I tracked one of these down. This is from Rick's Racing, but it's a Greddy Type RS. I plugged this up because I just gave it a little clean, but I actually have a brand new diaphragm for this. So I'm gonna take this apart and replace the diaphragm, and it turns out that the protective plastic on this is still on. So when I'm all done, I'll take that off and this thing will look brand new, or new enough. So yeah.
The old diaphragm was actually damaged, so it's a good thing we're replacing it. The replacement diaphragm is the 100 PSI kit for Greddy blow-off valves from NGR Performance, and it's a perfect fit.
Alright, so I'm making what we here at Tunes to Tunes like to call a bunny button, but the rest of the world calls it a well, it's a switch that turns on and off your boost controller. So you can run wastegate pressure or the tune boost, the boost that's coming from the ECU. Dual stage boost, I don't know. Anyway, bunny button, you know, like the rabbit on a tractor, faster. So there's an interesting way we do that. So we have this is the center vent on a 2G, and this is the piece that goes in it, right like that. Now, they always had this blank in it in the bottom spot. For some reason, future plans, who knows what it was for. But we found out that if you pop it out and trim this corner off, like this, trim it off, you can fit another one of these switches in, the hazard switch. So what you do is you take your spare hazard switch, go to the junkyard or whatever, take your spare hazard switch, and you just set it in there, and it fits, and it holds the whole thing in, and now you have a third button you can use, and it fits right in. There, now you have a third button. So what we do is then we paint over that so it's black, and then I'm gonna try and find a rabbit sticker to put on that, so it's functional. Then what you do is you take the harness from the junkyard car that you got the spare button from, and there's two sets of wires. The green with the blue, green with the red are a circuit, and then the green with the orange and the red are another circuit. There's two separate circuits in here that get switched on. So you run both sides, they're the ECU side and then the boost controller side, up through this switch. So when it's off, it breaks it and it runs wastegate pressure, and then when it's on, it connects it and runs the tune. So, and then you've got a separate circuit that you could run to ground and then to another ECU pin to run a second tune, so you could have an alternate fuel map if you wanted with the second circuit. So when you run high boost, it also will run a second tune. And yeah, you could do that, or you could use the second thing for anything. You could, yeah, anything. I don't know what I'm gonna use it for, but I'm just gonna run it down so it's under the dash so I don't have to take anything out. And yeah, so I've got the two separate circuits on this end, and yeah, so that's what we do. And that's how you do a bunny button.
Now we're gonna get the fenders reinstalled and tackle some wire cleanup with Uncle Brad.
All right, we're here with Brandon. Brandon is real good with wood.
Amateur woodworker.
Amateur good with real good woodworker. So what he's going to do is he's going to make a trunk piece for us. This is my buddy Jared's. It's the Archer Fab, you know, plate that you put in the trunk. It's his, but he said we could borrow it to trace it. So Brandon's going to trace it and cut this puppy out, and we're going to make one out of wood. So that's what we're doing. Gotta have a floor.
We're doing.
The new floor fits great and feels nice and stable. Thanks, Brandon.
Alright, so I thought I'd give a little update on where we're at with the car. I have the wastegate on and the dump, and that looks real nice. Everything fits great. This is the CC design fab. The dump tube does not touch that there. No downpipe. So, yeah, the coils are on. There's no spark plugs in, but I just needed to put this on to mock up the wiring. So the wiring harness is all made. Ta-da! I've got this EvoSpec Performance pulley on for the water pump. I ordered a couple belts that we're gonna try and fit here, and I might have to trim a little bit of this mount, but we'll see. They say that on their website, you might have to. But yeah, I'll put a belt on and see. I think that's it for the engine bay. Most of the work I've been doing lately is inside. It's kind of boring, but as you can see, I've got it pretty torn up in here. The gauge wiring was a fire waiting to happen. It was not done right. It was twisted and taped. There was exposed positive terminals on this like little fuse block that was just zip tied up in there. It was not good. So I ripped all of that out and I'm redoing it properly. I wired in all of my aftermarket sensors and everything to the ECU, and the ECU's in. I've got the wideband, the boost gauge, and the oil pressure gauge, and all three of them go to the ECU. So I'll be able to log boost, obviously that's my map sensor for speed density. And then oil pressure, I'll be able to log that, and then the wideband for air fuel ratio. So I've got all that wired in, and I got the backup camera hooked up and working. We found that the tail light wiring was also really bad, twisted and taped, spliced. Oh, there's a whole section of the harness cut out, so we made that right. It took a bunch of time and got that working, and soldered and shrinked and everything how it's supposed to be. Yeah, we were doing the backup camera, and then we're like, whoa, what are all these wires? So then another thing is, Brandon made this. He's got the skills with the wood skills. So this is a new trunk floor. So when you run this sub box, you have to take the little risers out that go around the spare that give you a new platform, and that platform, the little wood particle board piece, doesn't fit anymore if you don't have all of that stuff. It also is nice and warped and old, and that's just what they do. So I had to take that out. So made a new floor. Everything sits on there really nice. This is very solid. I could stand on that. So yeah, so the trunk is still useful with the sub box still in there. I ran the hose for the meth system. We'll do the rest of that real soon here. And obviously the battery wirings there. I trimmed up the trim that's behind the sub box where you can't see, so everything fits. So like the battery's in there right now. The plate's not in there obviously, but the battery's in there. and the seat can go all the way up, so you can see it. It latches and seals. It closes this gap behind the sub box, so the battery's totally boxed in. There's plenty of room for it in there, which is great. That's what I wanted. This is just for a 10-inch sub, which is like the biggest I could do and still keep the empty spaces for the meth system and the battery. But yeah, it all fits really, really well. And when the seats are up, you won't see a thing. So it's coming along. Got a little bit more wiring to do to finish up the gauges, and then I'll tuck everything up and strap it up out of the way, and that'll be nice. Oh yeah, I got all the wiring, the passenger footwell all sealed up. You can see there, and the plate's on, so it's all protected. All that harness that was not used is protected. And then this is the other side of the meth line. The hose comes out here, so that's been run. But yeah, my intercooler pipes are off at the welder right now, so once those are back, I'll be able to finish the wiring for the IAT and get the nozzle and the meth line put in. And yeah, so that's what we're waiting on there. And then I can figure out where to put a catch can. So I want to make sure I've got the intercooler pipe there first, so I know what areas I can use. I think it's going to go right around here, but we'll see. All right, so we've got our vacuum lines run. There's our boost source from the turbo. Going over to here. So here's the boost controller. So this one right here goes to the bottom of the wastegate. This one here goes to the boost source. So those two are tied together, so it'll run, and then it'll bleed off through here, which goes to the top of the wastegate. And there's the two lines on the wastegate. Looks really good. I'm happy with it. We've got good clearance with the fan, the shroud, and these bigger fans fit just fine. Once I have it all bolted in, it's not tight right now, but yeah. So now I'm working on the intercooler. So I made a new bracket out of some much thicker steel. It doesn't flex at all, and it doesn't interfere with my oil cooler lines here. So I test fitted it and everything, and it's good. So I'm gonna sandblast that and powder coat it, of course. And while I have the intercooler off, I'm gonna straighten all these little, there's just a few, like it's in pretty good shape. I'm just gonna straighten these few fins out, and then I'll give it a light dusting of black. Not to make it disappear, but just so it's not such a contrast from the black car. So I don't want it to be like, holy front mount, look in the middle, look at it, it's so shiny silver. I just want it to kind of blend in with the front bumper. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. All right, there's the new bracket. It looks great. And that's all. There it is. All mounted up. That bracket looks nice. It's cool. All right, so we're putting underglow on this thing. We're putting underglow. This is the kit we got. It was on Amazon. It comes with these things. Front, sides, back. Brandon's here to help. And we're going to figure out where to put this on. And we're going to put it on.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's get to work.
Get to work.
All right, the underglow is finished. I've got it all tied up, strapped up, the works, and I ended up powering it with the fog light button. So the fog light button usually has a couple conditions. One, the headlight has to be on, headlights have to be on, and then the low beams have to be on. So if you turn the high beams on, that'll shut off the fog lights. If you turn off the headlights, that'll shut off the fog lights. I bypassed all of that by looking at the wiring and separating that from those two circuits. So I can just turn on and off the fog lights, and that'll turn on and off the underglow. So I'm gonna hit the button and show you. Oh, I should turn the battery on. Lower, oh yeah. All right, here we go. There it is. It's glowing. Oh yeah. This is just all the period correctness and the Need for Speed undergroundness. Yeah, I'm real happy with that. It looks really even too. It's a nice even glow. It's not too bright. It looked kind of bright on camera, but that's just the camera. It's not, it's just right. It's really just right. So yeah, underglow. All right, so now what I'm gonna try and do is figure out where to put the methane injection stuff. So I've got the pump and the reservoir and a relay and some wires and hoses and stuff. This little spot right here is what fits inside the sub box here. So I'm gonna try and stick within that footprint, kind of like with the battery. I've already got the hose run over here from the front. So yeah, I'm gonna figure out how and where to mount stuff, and yeah, we'll get this thing installed. Okay, so here's where we're at. Let's just hop in here. So the pump is mounted down there. The inlet is right there, and that will go to a fitting I'll put in the bottom of the tank. The tank is secured. I've got a little hose I'm gonna put there, and that's how I'll fill it. That way I could get the height up high, so I won't be filling it with that. And then I have a little clear hose I'm going to put on that, so that'll also be my sight glass, so I can see how full or empty it is. And that right there is the low level switch, which will turn on the low oil pressure light, the dummy light. I have an oil pressure gauge, so I don't need the dummy light there, so that'll just come on when the level's low. And yeah, so now I've got some wiring to do. But yeah, that's where things will live. All right, it's all wired up. It works. It turns on. The pump runs. The security light and the dash lights up. Everything is working. So I'll cable manage all this, make it look real nice, tuck it, strap it, you know the works. But yeah, so all that's left for the meth is the plumbing for the hoses, the hosiery. So I only have 2 screws in that right now, just because I'm gonna take that off and put the quick connect fittings on. But yeah, so yep, there it is. Awesome. So I have this shroud that I got in some parts haul from something, not sure what it was, but it bolts onto the Mishimoto radiator. I think it's for a Mishimoto knockoff, but that doesn't matter. The car came with these nice big Spall fans, but they were just zip tied to the radiator. Well, I want to use the shroud because it works better if you do. But these fans, as you can see, are bigger. They're bigger than the fans that were designed to come on this. And the mounting bolt holes are are much farther in, so it was meant for smaller fans. So what I'm gonna do is drill new holes to mount these and take off some of this extra aluminum in there to use the bigger fans, because that's only gonna help if I have bigger fans. So see, I'll trim those up, drill all the new holes to mount it, and bolt them on.
The radiator we have is the Mishimoto aluminum radiator that came with the car. I gave it a good flush, but now it's time to clean it up.
All right, so what we got going on here is RTV. I'm putting these auto plumb adapters on to convert the water inlet and outlet to 16 AN. So there's a bunch of instructions, and I already did this one so that I know what I'm doing. I can take my time with that one. Still gonna take my time, but I know what to do. So yeah, basically there's this back piece, and that gets pushed, this washer goes in, and then that pushes this thing up against the bead and inside the taper of this, and it just seals it up, and then you get an AN fitting. So I know a lot of people weld on fittings, but I got this radiator used. I mean, it came with the car, and I'm sure at some point I'll have to replace the radiator again. Well, I can just take these off and reuse them. So if I ever have to swap radiators, I can keep these on, and I don't have to get it welded each time. Not that I'm going to be changing radiators all the time, but I also have never seen these before. I thought it'd be kind of cool to try them out. So yeah. Okay, there it is. They're both installed and they're toit, and you're supposed to put a little RTV on it. They say to help lubricate it, which is sure. It's not for sealing, they said, but whatever. So I'm gonna let that cure up before I put any water through it. But now I've got the shroud all finished up, so I'm gonna put that on. All right. There it is installed. If you've worked with 2G DSMs, you know they like to run hot. The closed deck, the airflow with an intercooler and all the stuff in front, it gets reduced, and they just run a little hot. So these shrouds make a huge difference. Also, these are bigger fans, so I'm hoping that I shouldn't have any cooling issues. We don't really have any cooling issues on Snoopy. And we've got just an eBay radiator and shroud and fans. It's all the full eBay kit, and that thing doesn't overheat. So we'll see if I need to, you know, address this later, then I will. But that's good. We'll put it in the car. All right, it's installed. So these are the Dude's Custom upper brackets. They look great. My clearance is good right through here. I could get half of a carrot through there. My connectors are going down, so we'll plug those in underneath and tie everything up, and yeah, this thing fits in here great. So now I'll make the upper hoses. Yep, and then we can pressure test this thing. Hopefully it doesn't leak. So here's what I've got. This is a 90-degree fitting, and this is a 60-degree fitting, and those line up really, really well. Then downstairs, I've got two 45s. Now, the bottom one really needed to be like probably a 60-degree fitting, but it's really hard to tell when you're doing those angles to pre-order. And these fittings are 30 bucks a piece, so I took a chance, but I think it'll work. I'm gonna try it. we'll see. The process for this is just like how I do most other stuff, most other AN fitting stuff. This is PTFE line. This is from Treadstone because it was cheaper and readily available. So hopefully it works with these Aeroflow fittings. These are the Aeroflow full flow 16AN PTFE fittings in black. We'll see. I'm gonna start with the top one because that one looks nice and easy, even though the shorter the hose, the harder it is. But yeah, so I'll go ahead and make that up. All right, there's the upper one. It turned out great. These short ones of that PTFE are really hard to work with because they don't flex very much. But I mean, I'm still getting some flex here. So they flex enough. But yeah, there's the upper. Now I'll do the lower. All right, and there's the bottom hose done. Everything's tight. It looks good. I'm happy with it. And hopefully it doesn't leak. So next we'll pop a pressure tester on here, fill this puppy with air, and see if it leaks anywhere. And if it does, fix them. All right, I pressure tested it, and it's good. I had one leak right here in this 10AN to whatever this is adapter. I think it's 3/8 NPT. And I forgot to put thread tape on it. So I took that off, thread taped it up, ran it back in, and it held 15 PSI for 5-6 minutes and barely dropped. I mean, just the slightest amount, not even a whole PSI, so it's fine. Yeah, so the cooling system is officially done. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, cooling system's done. That's awesome. That's a huge win. Those heater core fittings fit just fine. That's all you can ask for. It's just a nice tight seal. All right, now we're gonna move on to some other things. We're gonna finish plumbing the meth system. So this is the Snow Performance check valve, and this is the Snow Performance, you can't see it, but it's the 12 gallon per minute new version nozzle, V2 or whatever it is. So I've got my upper intercooler pipe all welded up, thanks to my boy Jimmy. He's the man. He got the meth bung there, and I don't know if you can see it there. Yeah, right there. That is for the IAT. So those will both be on the back, so it'll tuck real nice, and this pipe is just beautiful. Yeah, I wanted to just have two couplers here, and it will be. So I'm gonna thread this in, and I'll get my hose cut to length, and then we'll do the pump side, and then I'll pop this back off and flush it, and it should be good. Oh, we've got to wire up the trigger still. It's run up to the ECU. I just need to put it to the pin that we'll use to trigger this. So it'll be the fuel pressure solenoid or the EGR purge valve or something. We'll decide once I'm in there. But yeah, so I'll get this put in. All right, I've got it all plumbed. You can see the outlet here, the inlet right here, and it goes to the bottom of the tank. And I've got my fill tube on the tank. So basically, I'll just fill this up, and I'll have a plug on the end, and then I'll just tuck it right in there. And that'll be really nice. Now I've got a sight glass. I can see how full it is. And I'll just pull it out, and I can fill it easily just by lifting the trunk, flipping the seat down, sticking a little funnel in there. So it's been holding water for a while. I've just got regular softened tap water in there. So now I'm going to turn the key on and make sure that the light isn't on. I'm going to connect the battery, and then I'll turn the key on and make sure that the low fluid level light is not on. So it should be above that level right now. And it's not. What I've got now is, right here's the trigger wire. I can just touch it to ground. It should run the pump. And then here's the nozzle end of the hose. And I've got this bucket. I'm gonna flush out the line and make sure it runs. Okay, I hear it running when I push the button. Wow, that came quick. That's a healthy stream. I want a nice, smooth flow, no air bubbles. Okay, I think that's good. There wasn't too much debris in there. Now I'm gonna check back here for leaks post pump. That's dry. Yeah, this thing's dry. Oh, and look, my low fluid light came on. That's the far left one. The oil light, nice and bright. Yeah, so that means, and you can see the water level is below the sight glass, which means I pretty much ran this thing dry. It works. It works well. The last step is to wire that trigger wire into the ECU, and it's done. Cool beans. Okay, so now we're gonna bleed the brakes with Uncle Brad. We've got .5 brake fluid, and oh, yum. We're doing .5 for a couple of reasons. One, I've never tried it before. Two, it's silicone based, so it doesn't eat things like paint or things. And the third thing is you can't mix it with .34, so you can only do it if you have a brand new brake system. And well, since this brake system is completely new, except for a section of the middle hard lines, which I flushed out with alcohol, I have the opportunity to try .5. So I'm gonna give it a try. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, the brakes are bled. We've got it topped off. Of course it's purple fluid. That's definitely not intentional with the purplish brakes. But yeah, pumped up good, bled great, and the pedal feels nice.
Nice and solid.
Nice and solid. So we're gonna do the clutch now with our little guy here. This is for a Yamaha R1, and this is just a factory replacement bracket that some guy on Facebook makes. And I wanted this because it's aluminum and not the ugly plastic one. So yeah, so we'll do the clutch now. All right, the clutch slave cylinder is bled. Well, I guess the whole clutch hydraulic system is bled. So then I started working on getting the bumper fitted. So I got these quick release things from a guy on DSM tuner forums, and it's pretty nice. So far it's good. There's a little bit more adjustment I want to do. I wanted these to be more in the middle of the fender, but this bumper already had holes here from someone doing this previously. So I wanted to reuse those holes. So what I might do is actually get another kit and just put a second one here, if it's an issue. There's still the post here. This other side needs another post because it's sucked in just a little bit. It just needs to be right there. So if I get another post on it, I could probably get it nice. But I did have to trim the bumper a little bit more because of where I ended up mounting the front mount is sticking this way a little bit more forward. So I had to trim more of this, but it turned out nice. So yeah, now moving on to probably the intercooler piping is what I'll do next. But, oh, I started to get my air duct in. So you can see the back of it is right there. And then it just needs a hose that goes up to there. And that'll come out right there. That'll be nice. I don't have anything to vent on this side, but, or at least not yet, but I wanted to get the matching insert there so that those ports look the same. Yeah, and I think it looks really nice. Those are Dude's custom out of Germany, and they fit great. They're really snug in there with the clips in the back. So I wanted to try something new. So I got these. These are Phase 2 Motor Trend. They're a aluminum hose clamp. So supposedly these can hold all sorts of pressure. I think they said they deform at like 100 psi or something like that, but basically it's an extruded aluminum and then CNC'd, which gives it some strength and some spring. But yeah, and then they anodize them. You can get them in any color. These are the gunmetal ones. They've got a little like overlap here. So yeah, it's really nice. They seem really nice. It looks like they tell you need to measure your coupler on the pipe and make sure that you get the right size clamp because they don't have a lot of play. So we're gonna see. I think they look a lot nicer than worm clamps and a little bit nicer than T-bolt clamps too, because T-bolts usually the rod is sticking way out, and I know you can cut them off, but then it can be difficult to put them back on ever again, and you've got to spin it around. But yeah, so these were like $9 a piece, so really not bad, and if they work, they'll look really good. So I'm gonna give them a try. Let's put some pipeling on. Let me take you on a little tour of the intercooler. So these clamps are pretty nice. So far, I like them. You just have to make sure you like hold it so it's straight. If you take the bolt out, if you take this Allen bolt out, which is stainless by the way, you have to make sure you've got it lined up around the pipe so that the holes are straight before you put it back in, and like thread it by hand so you know that it's going in. And then you just have to make sure that the overlap of that little flappy thing is right. And then it's just fine. I ended up having to move this because it was touching this, but not a big deal. I just moved it. It was on this side and now it's on this side. As you can see, I've got no contact there. The pipe goes down. I've got no contact there. It's close, but you know what? It fits great, and it moves. It's got just enough wiggle in it, and it doesn't touch anything. The clamps are good. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. That lower intercooler pipe looks great. This is a 2-inch, and these three are all the 2.5 inch. So this is a 4-ply coupler, and it's snug, but it does fit, and the overlap does overlap. Yeah, this is a Vibrant. This one is a 3-ply, and it's a little bit thinner, and it let me get it nice and tight. You can see that right there. It's good. Yeah, lower intercooler pipe is done, which is awesome. The upper one's the easy one. So I was worried about this with this dump tube, but yeah, just resituated it. Oh, and I put a clamp on my turbo oil feed, so it's just nice and away from the exhaust and not in the way of a filter. So I'm very happy with that. It's all coming together. There's the upper intercooler pipe. Looks really good. Everything's tight. These clamps are awesome. Down here, back here, it's snug in here, but it works. yeah, so now I can make this blow-off valve line, which goes back to the manifold there, and I can plug in my IAT, and I'm gonna flush that. No, I did flush the line out. I can hook that up. That is the meth line, and then we can mark that off. Intercooler done. Sweet. Spark plugs going in. These are NGK BPR 70S. I'm gonna start out with these, and if I need to change them, I will. So as you may know, it's the details that make the difference. This was just a dust cap. This was from something, I don't know. I got one of these, which is just a Gates replacement radiator cap. But I wanted a fancy one. And the options are, you know, there's a HKS, you can get a Greddy, but those all raise the pressure, and I'm still nervous about my O-ring to AN fittings, so I don't want to raise the pressure. Plus, I don't think I'll need to for cooling purposes. So I'm sticking with the 0.9 bar, which is 13 PSI. I tested the whole thing at 15 PSI, so I know the 13 should be good. But they don't make cute caps for 13 PSI. So I found this from VMS, and it's just a cover for a regular old cap. So you just put your cap in there, and then there's a little set screw, and you tighten it, and now you have a cute cap. That's what's gonna go on. And I went with the gunmetal because I think that'll look really nice with the valve cover. Not that valve cover, the other one. So this is an Evo 3 valve cover. I know that because I bought it from someone who had an Evo 3 in the UK. So this is the valve cover I'm going to use. I've already pulled out this breather here. It's pretty dirty. I'm going to start by ultrasonic cleaning it, and then I will strip this old paint off, and then we'll get it powder coated. Alright, so I just got the valve cover back, and I'm test fitting everything. It looks so good. Ian did a great job. I found this HKS cover. Who knows if it's real, if it's not. It came from Indonesia. It took forever to get here. I will say though, it fits perfectly. Like no trimming or anything. And my experience with the knockoffs is they usually need trimmed pretty good. But this one does not. It just fit right on really nice. It came with this gasket that you're supposed to cut to length and put in the slots, the little grooves in there. I found this old school HKS oil cap, but yeah, it looks awesome. I do need to put the gasket on and the half moon, the Keith Moon seal, and get this bolted on, but it can go on. I just really wanted to see it, so yeah. It's a prismatic powder, laser diamond, and then clear coat, and then polished aluminum. That's the name of the powder, is polished aluminum on the letters, and that is from an Evo 3. It looks awesome. Super happy with it.
Now we can get the valve cover and coils fully installed.
Now I'm going to install the spark plug cover. So I'm going coil on plug. I'm using these Denso Toyota coils from a first gen Prius. I've bypassed the igniter. They're wired straight to the ECU and the MPI circuit, 12 volts. This is a little harness I made, which you've seen, but yeah, so I'm gonna bolt this on, and then I'll put the coils in and plug them in, and that'll be good. There they are. Everything bolts on really nicely. So yeah, these are all in. My little harness I made worked perfectly. I think it looks pretty good. I'm happy with it, and hopefully it works well, and I've got good contact with the plugs. Yeah, so I've got this. I've got to run down and plug in, but that's easy. But yeah, there they are. Looking good.